Hello and welcome to the V2 Football Podcast. I'm your host this week, Shane Lees, and joining us we've got Richard Hero Hudson.
Good evening.
And Nick Davey.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing, lads?
Yeah, not too bad.
I'm marvellous. How about you?
Ah, brilliant, isn't that? All pleasant.
I'm very hungover though, so if you hear me reaching throughout the show, then you know what's happening.
I'll try and talk as loudly as possible. Man United this week have announced that they are going to break the £500 million revenue mark, which will be the first football club to go and do that. I think even out of the likes of Real Madrid. And yeah, it's in yearly revenue, so it's not a profit. That's not £500 million of profit, because that would be absolutely ridiculous. But I want to talk about more than just Man United with this.
Well, do you know, actually, I'm reading up on it at the moment. Do you know how much their profit was in this quarter?
How much?
485 million.
Yeah, 5 million. So, and yeah, by the way, 500 million is not what they made in a quarter, because that would be absolutely crazy. That's so it's not 5 million out of 500 million. 500 million is their projection.
And that was
actually
for the year. Down 43.8% from 8.9 million last year in that quarter.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So Man United made, I don't think they made 500 million last year. They made not a whole lot beneath that. And yeah, they're not posting a lot of profit. So when people say, yeah, this is revenue, but most of that is getting spent on, general expenditures, wages and so on. But I want to talk about more than just Man U with this. Is this sort of thing a good thing? Because we're always talking about it, money in football, we're always talking about, whether or not it's having a negative or a positive effect. Is it a good thing that we've got Premier League clubs now posting these kinds of revenues?
I don't think it's a bad thing, to be honest.
If it's sustainable, and there's not many clubs that will be able to reach there's no clubs currently that reach the levels that United do for the.
Well, they're the most famous club in the world, aren't they? In my opinion, I think they're the most famous club in the world. I think they're probably the biggest club in the world. Personally, I think they're bigger than. I do personally think they're bigger than Real Madrid, Munich, and Barcelona. Obviously, not better than them, but I think they're the biggest club in the world.
I'd say Real were bigger.
I'd just say they've got more money, but I'd say in general, when it comes down to big, well-known football clubs, I reckon if you go over in the world, they'll say, I reckon, Man United.
I would say in terms of supporters who actually watch their team, it's Man United over Real Madrid. I think Real Madrid, the fans they have around the world generally will watch about 1 or 2 games a year, but the Man United fans around the world will watch a lot more than that. So I do agree.
More passionate United fans.
Well, it's easier to watch United because they've got their own. It's just easier, isn't it? Because they get more premierships more screened around the world. La Liga's not really.
Well, the thing we're talking about here is I think this is an idea about business in football, which is that the majority of football clubs these days, in fact almost all of them, are being run purely as businesses, with the on-field action being almost secondary. It's what leads to a good club, but it's not the main concern. You got these days with Man United, you've got all the sponsors. I mean, they took on a South Korean casual footwear partner, I think it was this week. And I mean, they've got noodle partners. They have spoon partners. This is just bizarre. I mean,
yeah.
Is that
United led the way with it, didn't they? They're like United became a business probably like 20 years before any other club in the Premier League even thought of it.
I think every club now across the country and across the world has to be run like a business.
But is that a good thing? Because obviously you've got the plus side of it, brings in more money, and it means that there's going to be more money for better players and all that lot. But on the other hand, when football clubs are run like a business, things like ticket prices will never drop. Because clubs running like a business, if something goes to a certain price and you're still able to sell it, you never drop that price. It only goes up.
This day and age, to be honest with you, it's nothing we can really do. I mean, yeah, obviously it would be nice if all ticket prices were lower, but I think it depends on a lot of stuff. Like, for instance, new stadiums like Brighton and Arsenal, they're going to be a bit more expensive. One, because the area where the football ground is, and obviously just on obviously paying the stadium off. Like Wembley isn't always going to be very expensive. You're never going to get, I think, what is it, like a $5 for a beer in there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a trade-off.
I think the thing is, if you do not become professional, other clubs will. You have to be matching or exceeding the other clubs.
But can there not be a balance between business and the fans? And I'll go to the German football game at this time, where there is, I think it's with all clubs, don't quote me on this, or it's just quite a few clubs, where there is a standard for fan ownership. Fans have to own a certain amount of a club to make sure that fans have a contribution to that club. In the Premier League, and in the Championship by and large, in League 1 and League 2, businessmen own the clubs. Businessmen have the entire say on how the clubs go. And so there's no real surprise that we have a bit of a disconnect now between the fans and their clubs.
How do you put the toothpaste back in the tube?
Yeah, obviously this is the problem. Once it starts, you can't really go back, other than making laws which would push away the businessmen and push away the money, which would then create a much bigger problem as the leagues get into a deficit. But the thing I'm wondering is, do we think, as fans, I mean, Richard, you're a Man United fan, Nick, you're a Brighton fan, do we think as fans that the trade-off we have now of more money in the game for maybe less good as being a fan, do we think that trade-off is good?
Well, I mentioned it the other way that my two lads have never been to see a competitive Man United match because of how much it costs to go to a game. So obviously it's pushing out families and working class supporters.
But that's when
the actual people that made football what it is.
But isn't that what? Because you go, I think, am I right in saying you take your lads to watch your local club Macclesfield Town play?
Yeah, because to go and watch Macclesfield, it's about £16-18 for myself to get in, and it's £3 a child to get in.
I think we're seeing more of that as well. People more enjoying their local football. I mean, I support Brighton, them on a local team. Obviously, they're a bit bigger than watching, say, like someone like a Macclesfield Town, or if I was going to watch Whitehawk, or Bird, anyone like in the non-league football. But I think that's getting bigger. Also, with watching your local team play, there's benefits as well. Like I don't know, at Macclesfield you're allowed to drink and watch the game.
No, you're not.
But yeah, full time actually, aren't they? So, but I think that's also a benefit like that. And I say it's cheaper. Like I think someone described it when they go and watching for instance, watching a non-league game in Sussex. The price of paying for an adult to get in along with kids and then getting a beer and a bite to eat would cost the same. Would cost pretty cheaper than buying one adult ticket to watch Brighton play.
Oh yeah.
But then again, we're also seeing a counter problem with the new TV deals, with the amount of Premier League football we've got on TV. It's going to be less and less of a situation that fans support clubs in their area because they're used to seeing other clubs. It's too expensive to go and see their clubs nearby, by and large, and it's too easy to go and see it on TV, so you're going to get more supporters of the big clubs and less of the little clubs. I think long term, that's a very real possibility. There's a lot of concern with smaller clubs in the UK at the moment with that.
It's probably cheaper for myself and my two boys to go and watch a game to go and watch Dortmund play than it is to watch United.
It's probably cheaper to get there too.
Yeah, that's what I'm
probably it. Yeah.
Okay, but let's try and get to some sort of answer. Do we think this trade-off is more of a good thing or more of a bad thing? Not out and out good or out and out bad, but are we comfortable with this? How the situation is at the moment?
Well, what perspective have you got? Because from the clubs, it's great. From the fans, it's not.
All right, actually, that's quite a good conclusion. Actually, right there.
Well, I think when I go to away games, I always accept. It's sort of weird when you go up north. No disrespect at all, but the match tickets seem to be cheaper. But then obviously I pay more on travel because it obviously costs more to get up there. But then for games down south in London, it's where the other way around. The match tickets are obscene.
If you come up here though, you get gravy.
Well, no, that's why I prefer doing the northern away games because one, I like the days out better. So we just said the beer and everything's cheaper up there. And southern away games actually end up being more expensive because everywhere it's just more expensive down there.
Personally, I have to say, the way things are going, I do get a bit worried because I worry quite a lot about footballing culture. You know, the big picture stuff is footballing culture moving away from the classic days, the golden era of football. We're talking before the Premier League. We're talking where every fan would support more or less the clubs in their area. I do sometimes worry about with the way we're going with business dominating football rather than football dominating football as it should be. We're getting away from classic footballing culture and it's becoming too business oriented. So that's my worry.
Well, it's like, what football culture do you want to go back to, though? Do you want to go back to the 70s, where it was working class, but then it involved
hooligans,
everyone cutting people's faces up?
I think somewhere in that, especially with the modern era, there's a happy medium to be made. It's just I'm not really sure how we'd realistically go about making it, other than making restrictive laws, which could potentially cause more problems than there'd be worth.
Well, when Brighton next play in Southampton, me and Shane are going to meet up for a fight.
I think I'll lose.
On Shane.
Oh, really? Nick's like 6 foot something. I'm 5 foot now.
I'm bringing a sledgehammer with me as well.
Tool up, lads. Okay, right. Okay, we'll move on. It's not a too distant conversation. Is the Premier League now boring? And I say this because the last weekend of football was pretty terrible, really, in terms of actual watching. And I watch quite a lot of games these days, and I can't really remember the last time I saw that many interesting weekends of football. Like, there's been some decent games here and there.
Well, you get the Everton one a few weeks ago. That was class.
Well,
Everton against Sunderland, that was brilliant. Every time they got the ball, both teams wanted to go forward and score. There was none of this cagey sort of passing along the back for 5 minutes and running a bit of the time down. It was just get the ball, run forward, see if we can outscore the other team.
I think it's sort of it's an odd one because at the moment, like you look at straight away, I'm looking at United and their style of play this season, which is soul destroying. You go back 3 years and you had that Premier League season where all the big clubs were putting like 5 goals past each other every game. United beat Arsenal 8-2. There was another. I think United then lost 5-1 to City, and every single big game had like 5 or 6 goals in it.
I mean, one of the things I think about, because I quite like Spanish football, and people always say the Premier League's more entertaining. I'll say the Premier League's definitely more competitive. Top to bottom, it's 100% a more competitive league. But there's less goals now scored on average on the Premier League. And the style of play, I don't know. Sometimes I do prefer watching the Spanish style of football, because it's very quick, it's a lot along the ground. You get some nice intricate play, and you get some very nice goals. So,
what is this?
The Spanish league.
I think you get a lot more skill level in the Spanish league.
Yeah, it's a more technical league. So I mean,
well, yeah, but that's because they're brought up like that.
The brand of the entertaining Premier League, the most entertaining league in the world, is that really true anymore?
The downside of the La Liga is the play acting to the referee, which makes the likes of Ashley Young look like a innocent, never dived in his life player.
I think with the can I just say something with the best league in the world? Who actually ever says it apart from Sky Sports?
Well, no, I think most people have now turned away and said most entertaining league in the world. But I think that's starting to go.
I think people ever heard it say it on the Sky Sports adverts.
Admittedly, I do think it's starting to go.
It's been said on this podcast before.
Yeah. No, I think it is still the best league in the world in terms of competitiveness, because I think the only way you can judge a league is by the league as a whole, and you judge the competitiveness through the league. Premier League outstrips everyone by a distance at that. Spanish League is good, but it's very top-heavy. German League is good, but again, it's very top-heavy, and it's a little bit better than the Spanish League, I think, in terms of competitiveness, but still not Premier League level. But in terms of entertainment, in terms of what you want, like, I do remember, like, quite a few years ago, I think it was only, like, sort of 3 or 4 years ago now, I used to love every single weekend watching the football, especially if I could go to the games, but just watching the games every weekend, loved it. These days, I don't know, it's not really inspiring me in the same way football used to.
Well, like watching Super Sunday?
Yeah, because I just think most of the games these days, it's pretty dire. It's not really going anywhere half the time. You get one goal after about 40 minutes of absolutely nothing. And that tends to be the score.
Well, I don't know what you mean. That's why I thought last week, I mentioned it before, Everton Sunderland, I thought that was quite refreshing. I thought
that was a very good
two teams trying to outscore each other, which we don't really get these days. I think you've got some clubs, like I hate to say, I think Crystal Palace, they're very entertaining. Tottenham are entertaining. I think there is some entertaining clubs. Then you just get, say, teams that just go out not to lose games, like your Manchester Uniteds, your
West Broms,
yeah, Chelsea's from last season, I suppose. But now they're
going out to lose games.
Well, I was going to say, I bet they're going out to lose games now. So, yeah, but I think it depends really.
For me, I think
the Bundesliga for me is the one where the entertainment's at the moment.
Oh yeah.
If you're going to go if you're like Man United at home to City, you're probably more likely going to get a group of lads going to the pub to watch that rather than say like El Clasico's on, or if it's Munich against Dortmund.
Well, yeah, because it's still
because of
this country,
time.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
but yeah.
I mean, I can't even remember what I was going to say. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I remember. For me, the big concern is the big clubs, because by and large, you would have the big clubs who are always the teams who are going to try and actually go and play football, and you'd only have a handful of smaller clubs. You know, your likes of your West Broms, the likes of your Sam Allardyce teams, who are going to sit 10 men behind the ball and just wait it out. But nowadays, the big clubs are doing that as well, and they're not just doing it against the other big clubs. You know, tactics, Arsenal against City, where they tried to sit men behind the ball and did it quite successfully. You can understand that. But they're doing it against smaller clubs.
I think it's because the gap between the clubs is smaller.
Yeah, and I definitely think that's a factor. But you're seeing that
now,
if
you
I
go
just
to
think
somewhere like Goodison Park, Selhurst Park, or or St Mary's, somewhere tough to go, Britannia Stadium. You're not going to go out there to go all out attack, are you? You have to use a bit of common sense.
Yeah, but a few years ago, your teams like your United, your Chelsea's, would think this is 3 points, whoever it is, each week, and they just go there and they turn the teams over and get the 3 points.
I suppose maybe it's another case of a trade-off: more competitive football for less entertaining football.
Well, you look back at this weekend that's just gone. Like United won against West Brom 2-0, but then City drew, Arsenal drew, Liverpool lost, and Chelsea lost.
Yeah, well, it's a wide open league this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on from that discussion, and we're going to move on to our game. Now, this is a game of trivia, and I'm going to flip a coin to see who goes first. So, Nick, I want you to call it.
Well, we're interested in getting Jordan. Are you on? Sorry. Yeah, no.
Heads or tails, Nick?
Okay.
This isn't one of you. This isn't your first question.
I'll have a heads, please.
It is heads. Nick, do you want to go first or second?
I'll go first, please.
Okay, Nick, this is your round. You're going to have 5 questions in this round, and for each answer you get, the points double in succession. However, you can lock in your answers. So if you get 3 right in a row...
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. So
if you get 3 right in a row...
like the weakest link, I'll bank it.
Yeah, it's a bit like the weakest link. You can bank your answers. However, if you bank your answers, you stop for succession points. So you could get a maximum of 16 points if you got all 5 right in a row.
So basically, I'll just go after... So it's 2 points per answer.
Well, so round 1 will be worth 1 point. Round 2 will be worth 2 points. Round 3 will be worth 4 points.
It
round
doubles,
4,
Nick.
8 points, and round 5, 16 points. But like I said, you can bank it.
Okay.
So
let's get this game underway then.
Are you ready?
No, I said, are you ready?
Okay, Nick, your first question. Who is the only player to have won back-to-back trebles? And that's for Champions League, their domestic title, and their domestic cup.
What is... sorry, can you repeat the question?
Who is the only player to have won back-to-back trebles? So for Champions League, their domestic title, and their domestic cup.
Well, they've done it 2 years in a row.
Yeah. Only player to do it.
In the world?
Yep.
Bloody hell.
I think I know.
Well, it's obviously going to be one of the big standout players, isn't it? It's going to be... I reckon it's... one of the Munich players. Yeah, I'm going to go for...
Pick one.
Is it? It's not Thomas Müller, is it?
Is that your answer, Thomas Müller?
Yeah.
No, it's Samuel Eto'o.
Is it Eto'o?
No, you can't. You have another round later on. It's Samuel Eto'o. He won the Champions League, the Spanish League, and the Spanish Cup with Barcelona, and he went and did the same with Inter Milan. So the answer was Samuel Eto'o.
Ah.
Okay, you're in a
I was stuck between 2 of him or...
I was just thinking
of the other way.
I was thinking of Munich just did it 2 years on the trot, but... of course, they didn't win the Champions League 2 years in a trot, so that was stupid by me.
Okay, Nick, here's your second question. Which Premier League club has conceded the most hat-tricks of all time?
Which Premier League club has conceded the most hat-tricks of all time?
Yep.
Is that just in the Premier League?
Yeah, just in the Premier League.
Wigan.
Okay, I'm not going to say that because they're in the Premier League at the moment.
Hey, that's his guess.
Well, no, it was. He's just like misread the question. Which Premier League club has conceded the most Premier League hat-tricks of all time?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't use my brain.
Yeah, you didn't use it on the last one either.
They have been in the Premier League though, so they could be a contender.
No, it was my fault. I think it could be. It could be someone who's been in the Premier League for a while. Aston Villa.
No, the answer is my faithful club, Southampton. We conceded 16 hat-tricks in the Premier League. Players just
I'd have been tempted with Villa, actually. Them all sort of like Sunderland or something.
Sunderland was going to be my... I was toying between Villa or Sunderland.
Okay, Nick.
It's a great start.
Here's your next question. Since 1982, which club has had at least one player in every single World Cup final? So since 1982, which club has had at least one player in every single World Cup final? We're looking for a club here.
club. Well, it's not going to be an English club. World Cup final, so Germany. Could be one of the German clubs. Spain, whatever. And then no, 06. 06 was France. No, was the headbutt.
I like how we've got a very audible thought process here.
Italy. Is it Real Madrid?
No, it's Bayern Munich.
Oh, shit.
Bayern Munich have had one play in every single World Cup final since 1982. That's a crazy statistic. Right, this is
one... Did they have in 2006 then?
I don't know, I didn't check. I just know they have.
David Trezeguet.
Might have been. Right, this is one I'm hopeful you'll get. What is the most southern and western English league side? So this club is the most south-western English league side there is.
Does Nick know which direction south and west are?
No. Southwest. It's obviously not Brighton, because Brighton's southeast.
Yeah, this is the most southern Premier League, not Premier League club, this is the most southern Football League club and the most western Football League team club. There's both.
So it's not like Cornwall or anywhere like that?
Well, Cornwall aren't a football club.
It's not going to be like a club in Cornwall, is it? Because that's the most west you can go.
Yeah, but it's the most southern and western English league side.
Southampton or... Well, around Southampton, Bournemouth there, I suspect.
Right, because you haven't got one right so far, I'm going to give you a hint. Yeah. Southampton signed Sam Gallagher from this club.
Sam Gallagher?
Yeah, they signed Sam Gallagher from
It's obviously a non-league club.
It's not, but okay.
I heard that.
It's a football league club, I said that in the question. Can I have an answer, please?
Plymouth.
Bullseye, that's 1 point. Now you can either bank that
West,
point...
though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the most southern and western English league side. So it's Plymouth. Well done, you got it right. Don't question it. Right, okay, you can either bank your point, or you can go for free, it would be. So do you want to bank your point, or go for free?
Bank.
Okay, so you got at least 1 point. You can get 2 then in this round. Your final question is... Which team has remained unbeaten against Brazil in all 4 of their games in their history? So
They've only had 4 games in history, all against Brazil?
No.
Jesus,
they've only played against Brazil 4 times, and in the 4 times they've played Brazil, they have never lost. Which international side has done that? No, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a clue on this one. It's not one of the big teams.
Just going to be one obscure.
Not that obscure, but it's not like France.
We'll go for... We'll give it to that team that beat them. I'm going to give it to Denmark.
I'll tell you what, you weren't too far away. It's Norway. Norway have never lost to Brazil.
I was thinking that in the back of my head for some reason.
Oh, you almost got it right. You got it wrong instead, so you got 1 point out of a potential 16 in round 1. Which,
That's not very good, is it?
It's not fantastic. Okay, so we'll move on from there. You can tell Nick's hungover. Right, okay, we'll move on from there. We can talk about sport, and this is more than just football. It's a sport as a whole in a bit of a crisis at the moment. Because you've had the Russian doping scandal, which has happened in the last week or so, which is where the Russian Athletics Association, or whatever you call them, have been found to have been promoting all of their athletes to go and dope. Not just promoting it, they've gone and done it too. You've had athletics itself...
It's a bit like Rocky 4, wasn't it, in real life?
Yeah, a little bit. And you've had athletics itself has been in a crisis for 2 or 3 years now. Probably a lot longer than that. You've got FIFA, which is in an absolute mess. It's getting even worse because it's turning out the Germans paid for their own World Cup. So it's not like we're just going, oh, it's the Russians and the Qataris. It's the usual suspects. It's even the bloody Germans are going and doing this. and it's pretty much endemic in UEFA. It's in all of UEFA, it's in all of the FIFA. We've got all of this stuff. So what I want to ask is just how big do we think corruption and cheating is in professional sports?
Well, one of the things that was mentioned in regards to the doping, I don't know who it was that said it, but he said that it's going to come out at some point that it's right from football.
Yeah, it was Arsene Wenger this week came out and said that.
That was it.
Yeah.
So what he should be questioned upon that. What does he know?
He's been called to the FA to answer for what he said. So they want him
probably
to
because Aaron Ramsey does it all the time.
But no, I mean, just how big do we think this is in professional sports? Because we've known about there's been scandals in cricket. There's been cheating in rugby. The blood capsules. There's cheating.
Cricket.
In cricket there was a lot of match fixing that's going on.
Oh yeah, but there's been like that in football as well in non-league.
Yeah,
when the White Hawk players they were fixing games at non-league level and there was loads. In fact, there was loads of football. Ronnie Moore got sacked at Tranmere because of it, didn't he?
Yeah, and you've got all sorts of cheating just in general in the game. You've got diving and so on. You've got corruption across FIFA. You've got corruption across the athletics associations. So what I want to know is just how big do we think this is? How much are we missing here? Because Arsene Wenger's turned around and said doping he reckons is a very big thing in football, and obviously we don't hear almost anything about that. So how big do we think cheating is in professional sports?
Well, it's obviously going to be massive.
The one I heard allegedly, before anything else was sort of said on this, was the Spanish national team with blood tests that were all sort of strangely destroyed in a fire before it came to light that things were slightly awry with them.
There was a sudden fire. It's like
a bit annoying that is. That could be interesting if there wasn't that fire.
It's like there was. I think it was.
But it was not just the Spanish football team, but it was like Nadal was involved as well, and it came at the point where a lot of Spanish stars in different sports suddenly rose to fame.
Shame about fire.
It all sort of seemed a bit suspect.
Well, we had. I think it was last year, or it might have been earlier on this year. When have you heard about Tottenham when they're trying to do their ground redevelopment? And there was I think it was a steelworks or something. There was some sort of business which they were trying to buy out Tottenham to go and build their stadium, trying to get them to give up their property, and they wouldn't, and it mysteriously burned down. So this entire business, this entire building, mysteriously burned down just at the time when they were turning around and saying, "No, Tottenham, you cannot have this land. For one piece of land you need to go and build your new stadium." So I mean, just something
that's like something out of like Kingpin.
Yeah, I mean
the Marvel comics.
That got relatively swept under the table. That's a Premier League club potentially being complicit in destroying someone's business in order to buy the land. I'm not saying that actually happened, guaranteed. They might not have been involved, don't sue me, Tottenham. But potentially, that is something that just went and happened. I mean, just all sorts of things like that.
That's just coincidence.
I doubt it. But no, I do genuinely wonder how big a thing cheating in sports is, because especially with football, we think, FIFA's corrupt, but it doesn't happen on the pitch, does it? That's our approach to football. It doesn't really happen too much on the pitch. It's just this behind the scenes corruption, that sort of stuff, the cheating. But on the pitch, it's all fine. I'm starting to wonder now, actually, is it? Because I really do think there's going to be, in a few years' time, especially in football, some big stuff's going to come out where it turns out there's been all sorts of match fixing in major matches, World Cup matches, European matches, Premier League matches, those sorts of things. I think it's going to come out there's been widespread cheating. I think it's going to come out there's been doping. I think it's going to be match fixing, all that sort of stuff. And I'm genuinely worried, especially with the way sport worldwide is going, that sport is just going to have such a black spot on it for a while. Because, I mean, you have to think like the Americans. How must the Americans look at the sport of football with FIFA and everything? Because they obviously don't really watch a lot of football. All they hear about is the FIFA stuff, because obviously the Americans are the ones who led that. So what must Americans look at football and think? They must look at that and just think, oh, what a corrupt little sport that is. Why would we pay attention to that?
Yeah, but they don't care, do they? They're like all their sort of sporting heroes that have at times been involved in some sort of doping scandal. You look at your Armstrongs and like Ben, Carl Lewis looks like he did it, Evander Holyfield. Yeah, their sport is rife with doping.
Well, that's what I'm starting to wonder.
And they just accept it now.
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to wonder. Is it ours as well? Because we've always thought English, especially the Premier League level, was relatively impenetrable because of the money in it. But I'm starting to think now, maybe not, because it just seems to be everywhere it's happening. The German FA one was the one that really surprised me, because I thought European-style corruption and was always, doing favours rather than actually going around and handing out money. It was, you do this and we'll mysteriously have a train contract for you in your country. That sort of favour.
It surprised me with the German FA. If it had been the Italian, then...
Italians.
yeah, that's not a surprise, is it? Like, the Italian Football Association, that's been corrupt for years.
I mean, there's also France in 1998.
The German one more so.
Yeah, France in 1998. There's some stuff coming out about that now. When I researched that, there was quite a lot of stuff about that. And Germany, obviously, in 2006. So, I think I'm starting to get genuinely worried that there's a lot more corruption, there's a lot more cheating than we really know about. Because I think we've always, especially in football, thought it doesn't happen on the pitch, at least. It stays away from the pitch. It's all back behind the scenes, but I don't think it is.
The one shining light for me, and you're sort of saying about the English, is that perhaps it looks like that we weren't corrupt enough. And that's why we haven't got it.
Why couldn't we have actually just gone out and bought votes? Why did we have to be clever about it?
Oh, it's a shame.
Well, there was a thing with Jack Warner when we were trying to get the World Cup bid, and we held him a charity gala. So we did a charity gala for one of his charities in Trinidad and Tobago, and apparently we just sort of didn't give him enough money. So we tried to be clever about it and do a charity thing. Reality is we should have just directly paid him. So.
Well, I'm not saying at all that England haven't been corrupt along the way, because I'm sure that they have, but we've not been as corrupt, it seems.
I'm going to hope so, but I do have a genuine worry that we're very soon going to find out a lot of very, very nefarious stuff. But let's move on to our second game, and this is Richard, your round. So you have to beat.
Bring it on.
You have to beat 1 point in this round.
Okay.
I reckon you'll do it.
2 questions at some point.
Okay. What is the maximum squad side for an international side in the World Cup or European Championships?
That's well easy.
Is that the same for both then?
Yes, the same for both.
And that's the World Cup finals, not the qualifier, whatever.
Yeah,
World
Cup finals and European Championships. The maximum squad size for international clubs, international sides.
Oh.
Ooh.
You say it's easy. It's when you're on the spot.
I'm going to need an answer.
23.
Oh, it is 23, so you've got 1 point.
I knew that. That was stupid.
Now, for 2 points, which former Manchester United player and former Manchester United manager played together at Preston? So it's two players. So.
Moyes and Beckham.
Oh, that's 2 points. You're already ahead here. Who is the only player to have scored a hat-trick in the Champions League, the Premier League and the FA Cup?
Champions League, FA Cup. You mean FA Cup final?
No, just in the Champions League, in the Premier League and in the FA Cup, generic.
Rooney must have.
Is that your answer, Wayne Rooney?
I'll go with Rooney.
No, it's Yossi Benayoun. It's not one you'd expect. So you've just lost all your points so far. Bad luck.
Oh, right, okay.
You didn't bank, so Nick, you're still technically winning. All right. Who was the first player to play for England who had been born after the 1966 World Cup?
Pardon, what?
Who was the first player to play for England who had been born after the 1966 World Cup?
Okay.
Oh, you nasty.
I seem to recall that it was Tony Adams.
Bullseye, you get a point. Now, you got one more question.
Well, I'll go for it then.
Oh, well, yeah, it'll be worth 3. Okay, so among...
No, I might as well bank, answer.
Okay, yeah, you're going to bank, so you can get a maximum of 2 here. Among currently active international players, who is the world's leading international goal scorer?
Is he still playing?
It's among currently active international players, so you would have to be.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if he's retired from international. Idris?
Did you say something?
Ibrahimovic.
Ibrahimovic. No, it's Robbie Keane. So yeah, Robbie Keane is the world's leading international goal scorer. Who would have thought that? So amazingly, you're both on 1 point before we go into the final round later. So still all even. You should have banked. Right.
I should.
So tomorrow we've got England v Spain, and on Tuesday I think we've got England v France. Spain is away and France is at home. So what are our thoughts, and how do we reckon it's going to go for England?
For a national team that's like blitzed its qualifying group and is playing against one of others, the two of the closest rivals going, nobody cares.
It is weird, isn't it?
You from? Do you put the kettle on? Da-na-na,
Okay.
da-na-na. We're gonna score one more than you. England.
Okay, yeah. Moving on to a serious conversation. It is a bit weird, isn't it? But there just seems it's Spain away and France at home. No one seems to really care at all.
England versus Spain should be a huge game, even if it's a
friendly. I think it is.
And there's been little to no coverage about it at all.
Yeah, England v France as well.
I didn't know it was on until it was in the paper.
England v France as well. That's a massive fixture. That always has been a massive
working
fixture.
That night.
But it's just like, it's almost like there's just so much apathy towards England and towards international friendlies as a general. Just no one seems to care. And of course, Wayne Rooney, he's been told he's going to be rested for the first game, despite the fact that Jamie Vardy is also going to be likely out with a knock. So Harry Kane will be our only actual striker.
Rooney's gone on the WrestleMania tour,
Oh, that's brilliant.
Okay, well, we'll try and keep it on point. But what do we reckon? How do we reckon it's going to go for England?
I reckon we'll beat. I reckon we'll. I don't know actually.
I know that I'd probably come in for some stick-off listeners for my apathy and general disdain for the national team, but I hope that England get a stuffing and a bit of a wake-up call.
Really?
We kind of need one, don't we? Because as we haven't lost a game. I don't want us to lose, but would the wake-up call be a bit of a blessing in disguise? I can't remember the last time we lost a game.
Would it not be better for us to build more confidence ahead of the finals?
Oh no, of course it will.
By getting 2 wins against 2 of the best teams in the world.
Well, I think it'd be I think it'd be like, yes, they're doing the right thing, but I don't think they are doing the right thing.
Yeah, I can't
I'd be
disagree.
very surprised come the end of the 2 games that England have got 2 wins in the bag, and everybody's thinking like, wow, these are the best thing since sliced bread.
Well, England don't lose a lot of games, really, actually. I mean, we lose them in the second we actually turn up to a genuine competition in another
That's true,
country.
and
always
often in
lose
friendlies we actually somehow
boss it.
beat Spain and Brazil and stuff.
Somehow. I think Germany is one of the only friendlies we've lost in recent years.
I remember that 1-0 home defeat.
Yeah, it was Mertesacker, I think, who scored that.
Yeah, because Andros Townsend kept them shooting in that game and missing.
Oh, everyone got so angry. But yeah, no, I just think this international fixtures, even like for the qualifiers, there was a little bit of excitement against these rubbish teams. But suddenly Spain and France crop up. No one cares. I think if they lost both games, I think suddenly people would almost care a bit.
I think tomorrow it's like a day to go. It's not like people are not exactly going to be counting down the days, are they?
No, but I'll put it this way. If England go and win both games, I don't think there'll be the sort of, the hype story, England have beaten Spain and France, aren't they amazing? How well will England do at the European... I don't think that'll happen. If England lost both games, I think there will be a media firestorm.
Yeah,
England play big sides for the first times in like a year and we get battered twice. I think that would be a firestorm. But if we win, we wouldn't get any credit for it.
I reckon if we win in Spain, there'll be a lot of credit, I think.
Yeah, because people sort of have written off Spain at the moment. The sort of like the spent force based upon the last World Cup, etc. But they're turning a corner.
They've got some very, very good young players coming through.
And the same can be said for France. France, for me, have got the best crop of young players in the world coming through.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
They got Martial.
Players. I just worry that if we win both games, or even if we just win, say we win against France at home and lose, marginally to Spain away, I think people just go, "Oh, it's just friendlies, doesn't matter." But if we lose both of them, I think there will be a bit of a firestorm of criticism. And I think that kind of epitomises attitude towards England football team at the moment. If we lose, if things go badly, everyone's on about it. Everyone's on about how bad are England, how rubbish are England, Hodgson out, blah, 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 blah. If we win, no one gives them any credit.
I think they would get some credit because, like I've said it before about that.
I'm a bit glad about Vardy. I was looking forward to seeing Vardy play.
There is so few that are even potentially world-class players in that England squad nowadays.
Yeah,
when you look back
Vardy's having a pie. Jamie Vardy's having a pie.
Jamie Vardy is not world-class.
He is. Who's seen his last 9 games?
He's been a very good Premier League player so far. But I do get what you're saying. You look at that squad and you especially hold it up to previous England squads. He's
having a party.
You're not even looking that long ago to find some very decent England squads. It's very uninspiring. There's not a lot of names there you're dying to go and see in an England match, is there? I mean, Ross Barkley, yeah, he looks like a decent player, but he's even aimed to draw crowds like Frank Lampard.
I'd rather see Dele Alli start, because I think he's been absolutely sensational, and I'd like to see Eric Dier start. I think the team should be. I think the back four should be right back. It's Klein, left back should be Gibbs, centre backs Stones and Smalling. Then you have Eric Dier and Jordan Henderson holding. Barkley.
That's something actually I want to pick up on. At the beginning of the season, like, you looked at the larger clubs and you looked at like the centre midfield pairings, and everybody just absolutely laughed at Tottenham's. And now that's possibly the future of England.
Tell you what, I laughed at their centre back
Eric Dier's been outstanding.
I didn't laugh at their central mid pairings. I laughed at their centre back pairings. I'm not guilty of that.
I see Tottenham's defence at the start of the season. I thought that looks pretty good. They've got Belgium's starting pairing at Alderweireld, who I think's been an absolute sensation or something. Yeah, I thought their midfield looked awful at the start of the season. I'm not going to lie, but to be fair to Pochettino, he's got Tottenham playing outstanding football, and Eric Dier. Well, who would have thought him being one of the best holding players in the league, if not the
I would say potentially quite a lot of people thought it, considering that was the position he was playing for Sporting Portugal. So it's not like this is a new thing where he's playing in his new position. He used to be a defensive midfielder. He went to Tottenham and was made a right back.
A lot of English players should look to do in the earlier days. You have your likes of Chelsea and City grabbing all these players, and then at an early age, and they're falling from grace because they're not getting the game time. There's someone that took at an early age, went to a foreign club, learnt his trade, and now is reaping it.
I think I'll put it this way: if most English young players, apart from if they're at one of the big academy clubs, if they got offered a chance to go and play for Sporting Club Portugal, I think most of them would take it, because they are world renowned for having one of the best academies in the world. If you go to Sporting Club Portugal, you're almost guaranteed to become, at the very least, a good average player.
Well, the Scottish Messi did it, didn't he?
Ryan Gould.
Yeah,
he's there at the moment. He's doing quite well, apparently. I think that's. But I mean, I do look at that squad, and you look at John Joe Shelby, Fabian Delph, Adam Lallana, Milner, Dele Alli, Eric Dyer, Ross Barkley, Michael Carrick. That's the midfield, and you just think, is there anything to get excited about with that midfield? Like, yeah, we got a couple of decent young players coming in now, Dele Alli and Eric Dyer, Ross Barkley as well, but it's not really something to get yourselves off your feet, is it?
No, you look at the wing options like Lallana and stuff, and you think, compared to what the French and the Spanish can put forward in their sides, and there's just such a gulf between them. A couple of years ago, you looked at the Spanish sort of attacking midfield options, and you went 10th down the line, and you got to Mata. Yeah, that was still better than what we had as our first option.
Yeah, I mean, last week I said I didn't have a lot of problems with this England squad because I thought it's about as good as we're going to get. But I've looked at it again and I just think that is it's not a squad that I'm at all excited about. And the annoying thing is that squad is going to be dangerously close to our European Championships team. There's only going to be maximum 5 or 6 different players in that team when we go to the Euros. So yeah, I'm a bit concerned.
But you look at the squad, and what would you say are genuinely potential world-class players there?
Okay, Joe Hart, I'd say definitely, but he's a goalkeeper, obviously, so that's not too.
I would put him in the second tier of keepers in the world.
I would say he's up there. Maybe not top 5, but he's definitely top 10. There's not a lot of very good goalkeepers, I would say, so I'd say he's quite well up there. Maybe world class. Chris Smalling, I'd say he's about reached that level now.
I think he's quality. I think John Stones would be amazing as well.
Yeah, John Stones has got a lot of potential.
I think Dele Alli, he'll be a superstar.
I think Dele Alli's probably a bit of a splash in the pan, to be honest.
I think it's too early to call on him at the moment.
Yeah, the thing I do worry about with a player like Dele Alli is I do think he has the potential to be a flash in the pan.
No.
Eric Dyer, again, he's another good player, but I don't think Eric Dyer will be anything more than a very solid player. Your James Milner kind of player. Very solid, very good, but not of a name you're going to see. And then after that, maybe Raheem Sterling could be world class.
Yeah, Sterling is probably the one.
Yeah, the biggest potential we have there. And then Jordan, he's not in the England squad, and I think when Liverpool players go on about Jordan Ibe, I think they just obviously don't watch Liverpool games. I don't think he's that good.
No, for me he's like the next
Lennon.
Next Lennon or Ashley Young.
Or Andros Townsend.
Yeah.
Townsend he's decent. We also got Wayne Rooney and Harry Kane. Harry Kane maybe could get there in a few years, or maybe he could at least be a very consistent kind of striker, not the most outright ability, but constantly scores goals. And Wayne Rooney, there's always been a debate about whether or not he's world class. So
I don't think there is a debate.
Yeah, me neither, but I had to put it out there. So yeah, no, and then after that you got your injured players. You got Daniel Sturridge, Danny Welbeck, Jordan Henderson, and even players like that. You're going, okay, yeah, they're very good on their day, but compared to other players in their respective positions, they're kind of subpar, aren't they?
Yeah.
You compare Jordan Henderson to some of the German central midfield players, and you just sort of go, this is not a competition at all. And everyone goes on about how good Sturridge is. Yeah, he's very good. You compare him to the other world-beating strikers. What the hell is Daniel Sturridge compared to Thomas Muller? it's like such a short competition, that. And that's like one of our best players. So, yeah, I mean, particularly with these friendlies, I'm kind of uninspired by England. And I think a lot of other people are, and it does concern me a little bit. We'll move on, though. 4th spot in the Premier League. There's always a big thing every single year, who's going to get 4th spot. It always looks like there's one team who could maybe do it, but then doesn't. This year, though, with Chelsea plummeting throughout the league, Liverpool not quite firing on all cylinders, it genuinely looks like this year could be the year that one club breaks the glass ceiling. One club finally becomes a Champions League club. Who do we reckon it could be this year?
Well, Paul Merson has come out and said that Chelsea are going to get 4th and Spurs are going to get 3rd.
Yeah, I saw that. Was he drunk?
He might have been on something else. Paul Merson is quite famous for that sort of stuff. But
yeah, he thinks that Chelsea will still sort of like rocket up the league at some point, and United will drop out of the top 4.
I wouldn't say Man United to drop out of it. I would say they're just going to get enough points in the season, but not really do anything special. Chelsea, I will say of Chelsea, if it's any club is going to get top 4 after that kind of start, it would be Chelsea. But I know we've got Leicester in there at the moment in the top 4 alongside City, Arsenal, United. I think City, Arsenal, and United are almost guaranteed top 4 spots. Leicester, as much as I do like what they're doing at the moment, I do think they will drop off eventually. But other than that, you got Tottenham, who are not regular Champions League place team. West Ham, Southampton are up at 7th. Everton are in 9th, and Crystal Palace are in 8th. Liverpool are down in 10th. I mean, it could be any of those teams, couldn't it?
I'd really like Spurs to get it.
Yeah, I'd love Spurs to get it, only because they're bringing through a lot of English talent. And it'll be, I think, that'll be that's my main point. I've got a little soft spot for them, but that'll be good. It'll actually be a team full of a lot of English players.
There was something the other day about that, wasn't there? That got the most English talent at the moment.
Yeah, there was a statistic brought out which said basically English clubs are not producing any of their own players anymore. It's just filled with players from different teams. I figured we could talk about that, but let's face it, I pretty much do that every week. So...
In the same report, though, did you notice that, which really surprised me, was the lack of players in both Germany and Italy that are from their sort of the clubs that they came from.
See, that did surprise me a lot, and that was mainly because, and this is what a lot of people forget, players in those clubs move around a lot. So, whilst you don't have a lot of club-trained players, you still have, for instance, in Germany, a lot of Germans in those teams. They just move around a lot. Italians move clubs every single year, essentially, and even to their main rivals every single year. I mean,
but like with the Italian clubs, they have that a very strict quota on the non-EU players. Yeah, so it surprised me that many didn't stay with the clubs.
They also have very ridiculous ownership laws as well as ridiculous loan rules. Italian clubs can loan as many players. So the Italian Serie A club, former Serie A club, which has now been dissolved, Parma, had over 60 club affiliations with other clubs. Most clubs have about 4. and the loan rules, the co-ownership things. So when people say like the Italian league, yeah, it's not surprising, but then again, they've still got a lot of Italians playing at each club. It's just they're not from the club they produce. But let's go back to talking about the top 4. I think, and I would want to say Southampton, but I don't think it'll be Southampton. I think West Ham could do it, because I think they are just going to win enough of their games and draw enough of their games and just get enough points. They'll only lose occasionally and in just ridiculous fashion, but I think they'll just end up having enough. I think Tottenham will drop off because I think they cannot keep up the level they're playing over the course of a season, especially with that pressing. Pochettino couldn't do it at Southampton for 2 years. I don't think he'll be able to do it at Tottenham. Southampton, I don't think are going to have enough steam to do it. And you've got Everton and Liverpool, I think they're in sort of transitional years. And Tottenham maybe. But again, like I said, so I think West Ham.
I think the problem with West Ham is that West Ham, from what I've seen of them so far this season, is when they play a big club, they're doing fantastic. They raise the game up and beyond. But they don't then follow it up the week after against a club near the bottom.
Yeah. But okay.
They're sort of big game players at the moment, but they're just the consistency isn't there.
Yeah.
Well, I will say one thing. I'm liking what Southampton are doing this year in the sense of we're doing very well, but no one's really noticing, so hopefully no one buys all our players.
But it's second season syndrome, isn't it? It's like you're going under the radar now because everybody's sort of like, we expect Southampton to be around there.
Yeah.
But because Leicester and West Ham are blowing everybody away with their expectations of what they do, then they're the ones that are getting.
Yeah, Southampton not really getting noticed. Yeah.
Okay, but do we reckon a club that is not usually a top 4 side will finish in the top 4 this year?
If it's going to happen, it's going to happen this year, certainly.
Well, it depends what happens after January as well.
It's the same with like if Arsenal could win the title, this will be the year for them to win the title, just because of how poor the others are.
I can't see Arsenal winning the league. I think it'll be City.
I kind of hope Arsenal win it because they haven't done it in a while, and I'd like Arsene Wenger to potentially have a good send-off.
Well, I think if he does win it this year, then I think he should resign after.
Well, he's not going to do any better than that, but I still think he would probably go, no, I want to bloody win a Champions League.
See, I'd like Arsenal to win it, but then as soon as Arsenal win it again, you're then reminded of how much...
Arsenal fans.
Yeah, Arsenal fans are just bops.
Yeah. Okay.
I couldn't agree more.
Alright. We'll move on and we'll go on to our final round of questions. Now, this is a quick fire round. Anybody can answer, and it's the quickest to answer. So if you answer it right the first time, you'll get 2 points. And if someone gets it wrong and you answer a second, you'll get 1 point. So is everyone ready?
I'm going to lose.
And you're both level on 1 point so far. So first question, remember, both of you can answer. Who was Alf Ramsey's last opponent as England manager?
Ding, 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 ding.
Nick?
Germany.
No. Richard?
Brazil.
No, so it's no point to review. It was Portugal. Okay. Who is the only manager to have managed a team in the Champions League final, the Europa League final, and the Cup Winners' Cup without winning any of them?
Ding, 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 ding.
Nick?
Oh, I've lost it.
That's
It's
not a
when you
manager.
said they lost each one of them.
No. Nick called first.
I was going to say, but he's won it. They've lost all of them. It's not Roy Hodgson, is it?
No, Richard.
I'm trying to think who it is. It's the. I think it's the. Is it Ancelotti?
No, it isn't. It's Arsene Wenger.
Oh.
Arsene Wenger has been in a European Champions Cup final, a Europa League final, and a Cup Winners' Cup final, and he's lost all three of them. So, okay, no points so far. Who is the only player to have scored a hat-trick in all four tiers of professional English football? The FA Cup, the League Cup, and at international level. This is the only player to have scored a hat-trick in Premier League, Championship, League 1, League 2, FA Cup, League Cup, and on international level.
Is it Gary Hooper?
It is not Gary Hooper. Gary Hooper is English, and he has not played an England game.
Is it the Cardiff one with the funny head?
What?
Kevin Jones?
No, he used to play for Cardiff, and can't think of his. Robbie Earnshaw.
It is Robert Earnshaw. That's a point. Unfortunately, Nick
He had a
answered.
funny head.
Yeah,
He looked like a
unfortunately,
dwarf.
Nick answered first, so you only get 1 point for that. Okay, next question. Who is the only player to have won silverware at both Man United and Liverpool?
Paul
Sil-
Ince.
One of you?
I think he said it first.
Okay, Richard.
I'll say Paul Ince.
It is not Paul Ince. Nick?
Michael Owen.
It's Michael Owen, so you get a
Oh.
point. Well done. You're 2-2 now. Okay. Who were the last team to beat England on English soil in a competitive game? So not a friendly. Competitive game.
That's a well hard one. Oh, I know. Ding, 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 ding. Croatia.
It is Croatia, so that's 2 points for Nick, as he's on 4 points now. Okay. Who were the last team to beat England in a competitive away fixture?
Ding, 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 ding.
Nick?
Ukraine.
Oh, Nick is on fire. That is 6
I
points so
don't
far.
care about England.
Okay. How many times have Aston Villa featured in the Premier League top 5? So how many times?
Twice?
No. Nick?
Once.
No. It's 3 times they've been in it, the top 5. Okay. Which player has scored a hat-trick for England against Switzerland?
Ding, 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 ding.
Nick?
Rooney.
No. Richard?
Sterling?
No, it's Bobby Charlton. Come on, guys. That one wasn't hard.
Sterling.
When would Sterling have got a hat-trick against Switzerland? He's only been playing for like the last 2 years. That was terrible, Richard. Okay,
Oh, you scored an hat-trick the other week. I don't care who it was for.
right. What was Hungary's best performance in a European Championship? So, what's the highest Hungary have reached in the Euros?
Final?
No. Nick?
Semi-finals.
Okay, but in the semi-finals, did they win or did they lose?
They lost.
No. The highest Hungary have ever finished was in 3rd place in 1964. So, okay, final question. Name a Swedish player to have won the Premier League.
Henrik Larsson.
Henrik Larsson is one of them, so Nick, you finish with 8 points, and Richard, you finish with 2 points. That is an annihilation in the end.
It says.
That is huge.
I was thinking of Ljungberg.
Lundberg would have been one.
I wanted to call me sir now for the rest of the day because
Ja-
I'm absolutely embarrassed you. I pulled your trousers down.
It was
right.
all England questions.
I would assume,
yeah.
as an Englishman, you would know England questions.
If I take that back, I don't want to be called sir, I want to be called Lord.
Okay, Lord Davy.
Gaylord.
I tell you what, that is like one of the first times you've won a quiz in a very long time. So big well done to Nick there.
What do I get?
Well
do I
done.
get? Does Hero owes me a beer next week?
Yeah, well, we are going to the Football Blogging Award finals on Thursday. That's all of us at the V2 Football Podcast.
Hero's got to bar with me all night.
I don't know if Nick remembers this, but he agreed to put £100 behind a bar.
If we
Did
win.
as well.
Yeah, only if we win.
No, you said if we got there. So, all right. Thank you for joining us this week on the V2 Football Podcast. Please check us out on Facebook and Twitter. And wish us luck for the Football Blogging Awards.
And wish Hero luck for spending the night with me.
Okay.
That sounds wrong.
All right, good night.